Welcome to Hiring Happy Humans, where we talk about all things HR with a variety of folks, from CEOs to community partners, sharing up-to-date trends, best practices, and our wild workplace stories. Each interview is designed to leave you with the knowledge to keep your sanity. I'm your host, Dawn Sipley of Sipley the Best. Thanks for joining in, and let's jump into this week's episode. Just a quick update, everybody. Sheena won the election. You'll hear her talking about her upcoming campaign in this podcast, but between recording and launching this, she has won the election. So she is now officially the first elected Black commissioner of the city of Sanford for District 1. Congratulations, Sheena. We're so proud of you. It was a race well run. Hi, welcome everybody back to Hiring Happy Humans. This is Dawn Sipley, president of Sipley the Best. And today I have the honor of having on Sheena Renee Britton. She is commissioner in the city of Sanford for District 1. And Sheena, you have been in this role for almost 2 years now, is that correct?
2.5 years, 2.5 wonderful years.
Okay, fantastic. And you're from Sanford. How many generations has your family been here in Sanford?
Born and raised. My family has been here since 1891. I'm a fourth generation Sanfordite, and I gave birth to 3 beautiful daughters who are fifth generation Sanfordites.
Wow, that's amazing. And kind of, was it the legacy of your family that led you to have interest in public office?
Yes and no, because my family is more on the religious side,
Okay.
My interest just came in from working at the city of Sanford for a decade, and just wanting to be involved in the city government, finding out what's happening, how I can be involved, how I can be an active citizen, just wanting to be in the know. And so I started attending a couple commission meetings, not knowing the language, not understand what was really happening. But I just made the decision that I was just going to educate myself on government, because I am a resident here. I'm a taxpayer, and I needed to know what was happening within our city.
Now, when you worked for the city, what department were you in, and what did that look like for you? 10 years is a long time.
It's a long time. I actually started in the utilities department. I was a customer service representative, and my father worked for the city of Sanford for 21 plus years. And then, after several years of, just being a great employee, I had the opportunity to become an employee in economic and community development. And that was in the city manager's office for the last 6 years that I was there at the city of Sanford. And, I loved every minute of it. And the only reason why I'm not employed there now is because when I became a commission, I had to resign, because it's a conflict of interest for me to be a city employee and a city official.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. So as a commissioner, some people don't understand what the role of the commissioner is, and specifically in the city of Sanford, what the role of the mayor is, because our mayor is a part-time mayor, not a full-time mayor. For someone who just doesn't know about government, has never attended a city commission meeting, share with us when those meetings are and the purpose of those meetings and what attending one might look like.
So the meetings happen twice a month on Monday from 7 until about 9:30, 10 o'clock, depending what's on the agenda. We also have what we call a work session that begins at 4 o'clock on those Mondays. And that's where we get into all of the details. And then at 7 o'clock, we turn everything basically into law, and then we open it up for public hearing. What the role of the city mayor and the commissioners are just simply representatives. And a lot of times people forget that you, the people, are the bosses. And we are there so that all 60,000 people don't have to agree on one thing at a commission meeting. So I represent District 1, and that's about 15,000 other people. The mayor is the one that facilitates the meetings. He calls it to order. He's the one that has the gavel. The agenda is provided to us by city staff, by the city manager, and then we, on behalf of the people, make the decisions for what's best for the city of Sanford. And that's the easiest way to break it down.
Okay. I've always said that 4 o'clock meeting is a lot more fun than the 7 o'clock meeting, just because you get to hear some of the backstory on how things come to be. Oftentimes I've noticed that decisions are pretty made by the time you get into that 7 o'clock meeting. Everybody's understood whatever motion it is or whatnot. So those 4 o'clock meetings, if you want to know the why behind things, that's the juicy one to be in.
Yes, that exactly what you said, Dawn. If you want to know the why, that's where we have the presentations. The directors of the different departments actually go through everything. We, the exhibits, everything that comes along with agenda item, we really discuss it. And so sometimes when people come to a commission meeting and they just hear the commission say, I move to approve, second, all in favor, and you're just like, well, what just happened there? It's because we discussed everything at the work session. And
Right.
then and at 7 o'clock, we're just approving or not approving an item that we've already previously talked about.
Now, where is that 4 o'clock meeting held at if someone had interest in attending one of those?
So both the work session and the 7 o'clock commission meetings are held at the City of Sanford City Hall. It's in the commission chambers, and that's located at 300 North Park Avenue, Sanford, Florida, 32771. And as soon as you walk in the door, we have amazing staff that will direct you where you need to go. Just say, hey, I'm here for the commission meeting, and they send you right to the commission chamber. Also, our City of Sanford website is a great tool. And so for every we have for all of our board meetings, our historic preservation, our planning and zoning, all of those meetings are on the calendar. And so you can just go to www.sanfordfl.gov, and then you can click on the calendar. And what's really great is we now have a City of Sanford app that puts all of your, everything right there in your phone. And you can go to your app and find out everything that you need to know about the City of Sanford government, the city amenities, where parking is, what events that we're having, what meetings that we're having. It's all right there in the palm of your hand.
And what's that app called?
Oh, well, shoot, Don.
We'll drop it in the comments and do a link to the app for both Androids and Apples.
Government app, and
Okay.
has an actual name.
Okay.
But it's just, I have it on my phone. And so, yeah,
Okay, perfect. Now, anyone can attend those meetings, correct? Those are open to the public and under sunshine law. Is that correct?
Yeah, every meeting is open to the public. There's nothing that we can do in secret. And that's one of the things. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share that with you, Don. A lot of people understand that the City of Sanford is governed by the Sunshine State laws. So that means that I can't have any private conversation with any of the commissioners, especially if an item is going to be brought, up before the commission. So a lot of times when we're at commission meetings and we're going back and forth and saying, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's because it's our first time actually having that conversation. I can't call, the city manager. I can call the city manager. I apologize. I can't call the city mayor. I can't call my fellow commissioners and say, this item is on the agenda. What do you think about it? Or I can't say, I don't really like this item and I want you to vote alongside of me because this doesn't help my district. You cannot do that. That is against the law, and it's unethical as well. So it's really important for people to know, and the residents, the visitors, all those that want to be involved, is that we cannot have private conversations regarding city matters. So the majority of the time when you come to a commission meeting, you're hearing the first or second, presentation of whatever is being brought before us. We're discussing it for the first or second time.
Okay, fantastic. Now you said you represent the people. So for me as a resident or a business owner, if I have a problem, what do I do with that? Do I come to you directly as my commissioner? Do I go to the mayor? What does that look like?
You come and you come to me absolutely because I'm your representative. But the city of Sanford has a host of employees that are ready and available to assist anyone. Our planning department, recreation, utilities, our city manager's office. Our city manager has an open door policy. Literally, unless if he's in a private meeting, his door is always open. You can come in and say, "Hey, I would like to speak to the city manager." The city of Sanford, city officials, the commission, and mayor, we're part-time. So we are not sitting at City Hall from 7 to 5:30 Monday through Thursday, but you can call us. We have email addresses, we have city cell phones, and then you can also contact the city of Sanford 407-688-5000 and request to have a meeting with your commissioner, or just shoot an email and say, "Hey, I have a concern and I would like to follow up with you regarding this matter." We're open for.
Could you just give us a couple examples of how you've been able to help residents and business owners? Like, what types of problems are we talking about? Are we talking about trash issues or licensing issues? Like, what? Just give us a few examples just to kind of grease the wheel a little bit.
Done anything from litter control to, noise ordinances, to code enforcement violations, to residents just coming to the city of Sanford, moving here and just trying to figure out how do they get around the city of Sanford. I mean, I've even had, people contact me to find out what events are going on, so everything that you need to know regarding the city of Sanford, we can assist you with. I've had, business owners to contact me and say, "Hey, Commissioner Britton, we've had a bad sewer smell in the back of the alley, and I really need some help." Now, although I'm the city representative, I'm just like, well, what actually can I do about it? Well, there's a couple of things. I can contact our city manager, and our city manager can get with our public works department director and to schedule a work order for one of the employees to come out there and look at the situation. And a lot of times, because I live right downtown and I'm very involved with our residents and our businesses, I'll even make the trip down there with them because I want to, make sure that, our businesses understand what's really happening and that there's some sort of conclusion. There's, we've actually executed, what it is that they needed. I'm getting tongue tied, Don.
It's okay. No, I love the level of service that you're able to provide, because really that's the role of the commissioner, is to be between the government and the people, right? And when there is confusion in the system, you're right. You're not going to go out there and fix the smell yourself, but you know who to call, and you're that resource there to help those kinds of things happen. So that's amazing.
And it's one of the great things about being a former city employee is because I know the people to call. I know
Right.
what that you need to go to. It's been sometimes I've had, I've had, residents to, complain about their utility bill. And I worked for the utility department for years. And sometimes I'm able to break down that bill for them before they even have to go and call the utilities department. And like I said, and we work for the people, and it's not the other way around. We work for the people. The people are our bosses. And I encourage, the people to remember that you have a representative that speaks for you, use them.
Absolutely. So as a small business owner and someone who has, had multiple businesses inside the city of Sanford, in my previous adventure, I stepped into an already existing company, but here at Simply the Best, I was the one who started it and whatnot. And I was kind of surprised to find out that just getting an EIN is not the first and last thing you do to have what I would consider a legitimate business. Right? Anybody can go out there and pet sit or provide their services, get a cash app. That's not a business. That's a side hustle. But after you get an EIN to legitimize yourself as a company, what else does a business owner need to do to be fully recognized and 100% compliant with everything?
Don, that's one of the things that I had to learn through trial and error myself. Once I became a commissioner and I no longer had my city of Sanford salary, I said, you know what, let's turn this creativity into a legitimate business. And, for a minute there, I thought that all I needed to have was an EIN number and an LLC, and I'm like, okay, I've done what I was supposed to do. And then I went one step further and I had a business account. And I thought that that was it, but it's not legit still. Then you still need to have your business license, your business tax receipt. And that's for the city of Sanford and Seminole County. The city of Sanford has this one-stop shop open for business, and it breaks down everything that you need to know in order to have a business so that it's legit. Everything from questions that you may have regarding SunBiz, your licenses. You can go right to City Hall on the first floor and speak with one of our city employees in the planning department. Development, this is there. We have Citizen Serve where you can go online and ask the questions, because although you might be creative in doing hair, you may like myself, I'm really good at interior design. You may have a lawn business, plumbing. That's something that you're really gifted in. You don't know, exactly the business part of it. So we have staff that is able to walk you through everything that you need to have for your business to be legit.
Okay. Wow. That's really good information to know. I think a lot of people kind of aren't real clear on all of the steps that are kind of needed for that. Now, once you get your business up and running and you're legitimate, you have your insurances in place. We can't forget that part.
Can't forget.
What kind of resources are out there at a governmental level to help businesses, one, get started, and two, kind of thrive in our city? Because I know there's funding, I know there's programs. Is there anything that Sanford offers specifically? And then if so, where can we locate those things?
Well, we have several, grant opportunities. And I always say, if you need to know something, again, contact your city of Sanford representative or the Development Services Building Department. It's important to know that we have an economic development office as well. And I was under the direction of Bob Turk, and Bob Turk has since retired, and Tomerlin, and as well as Pamela Lynch. And those people will be more than happy to sit down with you. You schedule a meeting and say, hey, I want to be successful. Help me walk through this process. They can get you in contact with the Seminole County Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Sanford Chamber of Commerce. There's all kind of business connects that we have. The city of Sanford also has what is called our community development block grants. And these are grants for public services and economic development. Now, there are different restrictions, because if you're receiving one of those grants, then you have to be serving our low and moderate income areas. But like I said, to make a long story short, use your resources. Come to City Hall. We're open Monday through Thursday. There's a list of numbers that you can contact. When you first walk in the door at City Hall, Miss Joanne is sitting right there, and say, I'm new to this, help me out. And we're always willing to help. We have number one, 100% great customer service, and just start there.
Yeah, I can certainly attest to that. I love how it's just right there, and you don't have to meander through the building or get lost. You walk in, they're sitting right there in the lobby, just always eager to please and answer all my crazy questions that I have when I go down there. So thank you so much for being a part of a governmental system that really loves their city well and takes service seriously. There's been tremendous improvements in the last few years from what I've witnessed being a resident and a business owner here. So thank you for those improvements.
Yeah, and that was one of the things from listening to our businesses, listening to our residents, because that area was not always downstairs. If you remember that, Dawn, it wasn't. And so you would walk into the building and you wouldn't know, do I go to the left or to the right? Where's the building department? Where's the utility department? Where do I pay my water bill? It was just kind of confusing. So what the city manager did, and the director of development services, says, how can we make it easier for our residents? How can we make it easier for our businesses? So right now, when you walk right in, there's a friendly face greeting you and saying, hey, welcome to the city of Sanford. How can I be of service? And again, that's just us listening to the people of Sanford and finding out what they needed. And that's perfect. It's been amazing for me as well. And I work there.
Right. I'm sure. So with being an entrepreneur yourself, share just a few stories of lessons that you kind of learned along the way. We have so many small business owners that watch this podcast and they're not involved in government and they're not kind of involved in those things. What lessons could we kind of learn as small business owners that are a little naive to that area?
Yeah. The number one thing, and this is separate from government, this is just, the business person, is to make sure you have your finances in order. When you have to do your taxes, having all of your receipts. That's one of the things when I first started out, because I became, I thought that when I started my business, maybe I would get a client or two, wouldn't be a big issue. But then I just did not know what was, what my future, had planned for me. And literally my business just was, I was overwhelmed with response of people. Hey, Sheena, can you come here? Can you come here? I have an event to do, a birthday party, a shower. I want you to, decorate my new home. My kid is going off to college. I had people saying, hey, we will pay for, your transportation costs to come to Miami to do my kid's dorm room. So I was not prepared for that at first. And so money was just coming in. And then I began to get scared because I was like, okay, so what am I doing? I had to learn also, to pay myself, to put myself on payroll, because now that I no longer had that city of Sanford salary, I can't go and just, apply for a loan or, to get a car, because there's nothing showing that I've made money in, even though I'm bringing money in all the time. But the way that my business goes is, if I have a client that gives me, I'm just going to use a regular number. Right. It gives me $1,000. Well, $800 of that is probably going towards, the event or the decor, and 200 is coming to me. Well, I needed to have that shown on paper. So I had to learn, how to do that. And that wasn't something that, I was familiar with. I'm familiar with ribbon and hot glue and balloons. I wasn't familiar with, all making sure I had all of that data. Although I had my EIN, my LLC, and I am licensed and insured, there was still the finance part that was very important. And I just got, that today. And I actually had to have a consultant to help me out. Don't be afraid to ask for the help and invest in yourself. If your business is doing well, invest in yourself and say, okay, I need to hire a consultant. Maybe I need to have a CPA, a certified public accountant, to help me with this stuff, because I'm good at one thing, but maybe not so good at other things. And that's one of the things that I had to learn. And I'm glad I learned it earlier, because I do have friends now, because we're in the age of entrepreneurship, and everyone is saying, you know what, I've got a good idea. I can work for myself. There's a market for this. And I'm going to step out there on faith and I'm going to do it. But yet you don't know everything that goes along with that. And the IRS does not play.
No.
They will come on your door, because after a while, those cash apps will start to catch up with you.
They're reporting that stuff now. It's no longer non-reported. So yeah. I've always found it here lately. I found it really interesting, the number of gig workers that are returning to the traditional job market. I think they filed that 2021 tax return and realized what self-employment really meant when it came to tax liability, and how their poor documentation, they received that $1,000 but didn't keep receipts for the $800 of cost of goods sold was, and now they're paying taxes on the full 1,000 instead of just the 200 that they should have. So that's really great advice. I've got a CFO myself, a fractional CFO, that just helps me on a quarterly basis go over my numbers, make sure it's there, because me as well, I'm an HR professional. I'm not a tax accountant. I'm not certified in any kind of financial arena. I can make money all day long and I can spend money all day long, but ask me to document it. And I'm like, oh, so that's great advice about hiring that out if that's not your area of expertise.
That's the number one thing right there to me that I've had to learn is to go and get that help, especially with the finances. It doesn't matter how, successful your business, is, how much clientele that you have to have all of the proper documentation. You have to have your ducks in a row. And you have to deal with the IRS. It's very important, and again, you can't go and get small business loans if you can't show,
Right.
this is my income. This is what I've made over 2021, 2022, how I'm progressing. You've got to be able to log all of that information. And it's important because there are lots of grants out there for small businesses, for people starting businesses, for minority businesses, female businesses. It's a lot out there for you to grab, but you can't do it if you don't have that documentation. And that's one of the things that we struggle with the community development block grant here at the city of Sanford. Although we from HUD, Housing and Urban Development, to give to economic development, for-profit businesses and public services for nonprofit businesses and organizations. The first thing that they ask you for is your EIN. And then they want to see your financials. They want to see if you have a board, because this is government funding. So it's not something coming out of Commissioner Britton's pocket. This is coming from the government. So we've got to be able to tell the story of how we spent the money, who we gave it to, and then how is it benefiting our city? What's the return on the investment?
What is the reason that the government gives away this money? How does it help at the end of the day?
It's a domino effect. Everything goes around in circles. It's you're giving back into your community. For example, let me break down like our community redevelopment agency, right? Okay, so they have what we call our rehab loan subsidies and also our facade grants. So those businesses that are here within the CRA area, I want to make sure that you know that we have an area that is the CRA district. You can have a business here. It must be an established business. And of course you have to have all of your documentation, but they will give you grants to, do the windows and doors and facade treatments to improve your business. And the reason why they give you that money is because they want you to be successful so that people come in and invest back into the city of Sanford. They also had event grants at one particular time, because if they're going to, put money into, our streetscapes, which is, the bricks, the landscaping, trees, and to also fund these facade and rehab loan subsidies, they want people to come and look and see what we've done. It increases the traffic. So it just, that money just keeps coming back into the city of Sanford. So it's important that the city of Sanford offer those kinds of grants, to offer that assistance so that everybody benefits from it. Our businesses, our residents, property value, the visitors, that everything that we do, it comes back around. And so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And I try to, usually when I'm talking about things, I try to keep it simple. I don't want to go over anyone's head and say, okay, we're talking about tax increment financing and that stuff. I just try to keep it simple of this is what happens. It's that domino effect. It's like the keeping up with the Joneses. If, you cut your yard and then your neighbor cuts their yard, and then you plant flowers, and then the neighbor plants flowers, and then by the end of the year the whole block looks great. Well, that's kind of how the CRA does it, with those facades. Our rehab loan subsidies, go into, you come from out of town and you say, hey, Sanford is great. It fits well for my business, but I need a little assistance. I need some help. We need to replace the roof. We have foundation issues. The CRA gives you money so that you can repair, rehabilitate that building. And then when you become successful, then people start to come. And then not only do they visit your business, but they visit other businesses as well. They come to our amenities, our parks, our golf course. Some people come here to, maybe go to one of our outstanding restaurants, and then they realize, hey, you all are on a beautiful waterfront. I never knew that, and this is miles of beautiful lakefront, but they never knew it. But because of one of your businesses that we invested in through our CRA, now that's, again, it's coming around full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. I just absolutely love the city of Sanford because, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, we're the only city that has everything. We've got an airport and a train station and a waterway and an interstate and a historic district and a commercial district and residential and industrial. Like, yep. Winter Springs don't have that. Longwood don't have that. Like, we cool.
The area is Jacksonville. That's it, because we're the only city that has a major interstate, the waterfront, the Sunrail, the Amtrak, as well as the historic and commercial district as well. We have all of that, and no other city other than Jacksonville has all of that. Yeah. Wow. So in Seminole County, and we have an actual established downtown, which that's really great as well, because some places, they have a little bit of a downtown and then it's kind of spread out. We have a downtown located on the St. Johns River, I mean, wow. And then we have, the Sunrail, then you get off the Sunrail and you get onto our trolley. And that's another thing that was brought to us by our Community Redevelopment Agency. We have the Central Florida Zoo. Can't forget about that.
Oh, yeah. And that zoo's been here forever too. Now, if I'm correct on my Sanford history, didn't the zoo used to sit where City Hall is now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes it can. Yeah.
So,
but
you had said that you had been a commissioner about 2.5 years now, and I do believe that voting is coming up on August 23rd. Are you rerunning?
Yes, I am. I'm running for District 1 commissioner, and I have a lovely opponent. Both of us really love the city of Sanford and wants to see the city of Sanford, progress. I decided to run again because I just believe that the city of Sanford needs to continue to have a representative that is thorough, that is available to them. And it's just really important that, again, I remind the residents that we work for you. We're just the voice for you, nothing more, nothing less. Yes, we turn, things into laws, and, there's ordinances, and we're the face of Sanford, but basically we work for you. We're there speaking for you so you don't have to be there. And it's important that you hold us accountable. It's important that if you have an issue, you talk to your commissioner. If you don't understand something, you talk to your commissioner, because this is your home as well. And although I can say all day, I want what's best for it, I want what's best for you as well. So, I decided, another term would be good, because actually I was appointed, and I wanted to, go a full 4 years, because there's so much that I want to do. There's so many people that I want to reach. And with the first 2 years, I was just kind of getting acclimated to the system, finding out, what my actual role was, and, trying to, repair the squeaky wheels, for the next 4 years. Now I can actually build that relationship, with the businesses, with the residents. And I've done a really great job, but I want to get deeper. I want the city of Sanford residents, the visitors, the businesses to know that they can count on their commissioner, that they send an email, she's going to meet with them. She's going to stop whatever she's doing. I will be in the alley, with my apron on, trying to figure out what the issue is. When there's a storm happening, I'm there in
I saw you out there, girl, in your galoshes.
Yeah. The city of Sanford, one of the things about being on the beautiful waterfront is sometimes we get really heavy rains. And it takes a minute for, those waters to go through our sewer system. So sometimes there's a backup, and we do have some issues with infrastructure that we're going to address. But when I see that there's an issue in my district, I'm out there, because the public works department doesn't know all the time where they need to go. So I'm like, hey, I'm on the corner of such and such street, and now the rain is rising, and it's at the door of these residents. So that's what I call being an involved, available commissioner. And I'm not saying that if you're not in the rain that you're not a good commissioner, but I treat it like I treat myself. And I would love to see, my representative actually caring about, the things that are important, that are valuable to me. Those couple of times when we had those rains, I was down in front of the businesses, with my broom as well, pushing the water out, and although, the water went away, it was kind of scary, for a little while. So that's why people saw me out there. And, it was a good look, but it wasn't anything that I was doing to, promote Sheena, because I wasn't the cutest when I was out there.
Well, I mean, you've only been in office 2.5 years, but your love for the city has been apparent for the 20 years that I've known you. That showing up, in galoshes and t-shirts and jeans is something that you did before you ever held the title commissioner. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was so excited to see you appointed. And I think that is ultimately why you were appointed. During that season of transition, is because your reputation preceded you, not only for representing the small business district, in that downtown area, but what a lot of people don't know is your district is very diversified. You have a large residential area too that looks nothing like the downtown district. Just describe to me what your district demographics look like a little bit.
Well, I want to go back to one thing that
Okay.
you started, and then I'll answer that question. I was about 15 and I was in Oklahoma, and there was a talent show. My family would go there for a church event every year. And so one of the girls that was at my church, she was doing, ballet for the teen talent show. And she stood up and they asked her, hey, what's your name and where you're from? And she said, my name is such and such, and I'm from Orlando, Florida. And I was like, well, you're not from Orlando, you're from Sanford. And I asked her and I said, well, why did you say you're from Orlando? And she was like, because nobody knows Sanford, but people know Orlando. And from that day on, at the age of 15, I was like, I'm going to represent Sanford as hard as I can. And that's where my love came from. I went to school in Winter Springs, but I was from Sanford, and everybody knew that I was from Sanford too. There was a pride in me to represent my hometown. And again, because my family has been here, for generations. To get to the District 1, people assume that District 1 is just downtown. And I have to remind people, I just did an interview in the Sanford Herald, and they asked me, well, what else do you want the city of Sanford, to know about you? And I said, I want them to know that I care about the concerns of all of District 1 and not the downtown area, even though, where your downtown is where your city is. But still, there's issues that we have with rapid growth on Celery Avenue, Lake Mary Boulevard. We've got issues with litter control, traffic control, the expansion of the Orlando Sanford International Airport. All of those things are outside of just the issues that we face downtown with having a residential, area, but a commercial district, So I'm fortunate to represent downtown, the historic district, the commercial district on Sanford Avenue. Then it kind of scoops around to Celery Avenue, and there's lots of new homes and subdivisions that are annexed into the city. And then hips around to the Orlando Sanford Avenue Airport, and then Lake Mary Boulevard. And if you've been on Lake Mary Boulevard the last 2 to 3 years, it has changed a lot. There's new subdivisions going in everywhere. And those are new people that are coming to the city of Sanford that don't know who the mayor is, don't know who the commissioners are. And their number one usually concern is what good schools they have. They're raising families, they're looking for a great kitchen and grade A school. And so it's important that I let those people know, hey, this is your city of Sanford. You live in the city of Sanford. This is how your government operates, and I'm here for you. So also in District 1, we have two of the largest economic engines. I think we have three very large ones, and two of them are in District 1, which is your downtown and your Orlando Sanford International Airport. I believe Commissioner Mahaney has the other, which is the Industrial Park and the Seminole Town Center mall area down there. So that's a lot for one person to keep their eye on, but I do my very best. I depend on city staff. That's why if there's an issue immediately, because I have that relationship with the directors, I can say, hey, Mr. Bonaparte, can you contact, Bill Lau? Can you contact Bill Marcoux? Can you contact our finance department and get the assistance? And because I already know where they need to, go, it's easier for me to say, hey, you need to do A, B, and C. But out of respect, I don't demand for any employee to do anything. I go to the city manager and then he gives the direction.
He's the boss. So when it comes to voting on August 23rd, where do you know our voting sites, what that looks like? I know our mail ballots, we're recording this in late July. The mail ballots are already kind of out. So if someone wanted to take a mail-in ballot and drop it off somewhere rather than leaving it to the, the post office to deliver it, how would they go about that?
So the first thing that I would suggest, Dawn, is just because I know where my precinct is, because I'm right here in at the Civic Center. But if you have any questions, you want to make sure that you contact the Seminole County,
Supervisor of Elections.
Right. So if you have any questions, you want to make sure that you contact the Seminole County Supervisor of Elections. There's the website. There's also the telephone number. They're on Facebook as well, all social media platforms, and get all of your information from there. Find out if you're registered to vote, where your precinct is, who's your representative, what districts you're in, who do you vote for in this election, find out information about the primary, who you'll be voting, where you'll go in the next 2 to 4 years. Anything that you need to know about voting, you contact Chris Anderson over at the Supervisor of Elections.
And they're kind of off of like Airport Boulevard, kind of close to the airport, right? The old entrance into the airport.
Airport and Mellonville.
I couldn't remember the name. I'm from here, but I just drive everywhere. I don't ever look at the street names because I know where I'm going.
Like that too. I'm more visual. I'm like, yeah, it's on the corner of the Brown building, where it's at. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so if someone wanted to get a hold of you, Sheena, because they realize that they need some representation either for their business or, just as a resident, how could they reach you?
The best way to reach me is via email, and that's SHEENA.Britton, BRITTON at Sanford, the city, SANFORD, the letter FL.gov. And we'll put that down in the comment section, Sheena.Britton at SanfordFL.gov. And then you can request to have a meeting with me by calling the City of Sanford Administration Office, 407-688-5008. And you'll speak with the city manager's administrative assistant, and that's Miss Pamela Robinson, and she will be happy to set up an appointment or give me your information so that I can contact you directly. I'm really quick about it. I have no problem with meeting you at City Hall to discuss any issues that you have, and if I don't have the answer for you right away, I will get it for you. by making sure I speak with the city manager, speaking with staff, so you don't feel like you're alone in any matter. And that goes from anything to, hey, I have a tree in front of my house and the roots are tearing up the sidewalk. Yeah, that's an issue that you can come talk to your city, city representative about. Homelessness, any issue that you have, as long as the city of Sanford related, I'm here for you. Even if you want to talk about your cat, going up a tree, hey, it's in the city of Sanford, I'll talk to you about it.
And if someone wanted to find out a little bit more about your campaign or contribute to your campaign or just learn about your platform, where could they go to learn about Sheena, the commissioner who's running?
So I have a website and it's called A Vote for Us. It's www.avoteforallofus.com. www.avoteforallofus.com. And I'm also on social media on Facebook, Sheena Britton, District 1 Commissioner, City of Sanford. And it's called A Vote for All of Us because it's representing all of the city of Sanford, businesses and residents, newcomers versus people who have been here for generations. I speak for all of District 1 and all for the city of Sanford as well. I may not be your actual commissioner. You might not be able to vote for me, but I do represent you. I'm one of your 4 representatives, and we all work together collectively to make sure that the city of Sanford progresses.
Thank you so much for your time today, Sheena. It was just a pleasure getting to know a little bit more of your heart, getting to know a better understanding of our government role and how to interact with that as small business owners. The information is just so vital and you're just really appreciated.
Thank you, Don, so much. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. And like I said, not just to talk about, government, but just to be able to advise, new businesses in the area. And like I said, I'm just, I'm a representative, but I'm also a neighbor as well. And so what you see is what you get. When you talk to me, we will have these normal conversations, And so I thank you for giving me the opportunity to just be able to speak, just regular to you and your viewers.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Sheena. You have a blessed day.
Thanks again for spending time with us today. If you want more HR stories and resources, go to simplythebest.com to join our newsletter. That's SIPLEY. Until next time, stay happy.